We're good. We're going to call the Star City Council meeting to order as soon as Ryan sits down. Kidding, I'm kidding. It's Tuesday, April 16, 2024, 7 p.m. here at the Star City Hall. I'd like you all to please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And tonight's invocations by Pastor David Axe with the Calvary Star Church. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Would you bow your heads and pray with me? Heavenly Father, we come this evening just overjoyed to see the spirit of Idaho alive and well. Lord, the honor that it is to be part of building Star into what it will be for future generations. And as your word gives us great caution not to lean against our own understanding, but to acknowledge you in all of our ways, and you direct our steps. Lord, we ask tonight as different ideas and desires are put forth that you'd give great wisdom and understanding that's so far beyond our day. Common hearts would be just unified. So Lord, go before us, bless the mayor and the council and the staff, Lord, and build this city to what you want it to be. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. All right, roll call.
Hershey.
Hang on, he might be on, he's online.
I am here.
Okay, there he is.
Thank you. Wheelock.
Here.
Salmonson.
Here.
Nielsen.
Present.
All right. We have 3 heres and 1 present, so we're good.
The first.
Hershey. Oh, in San Diego. We're going to move on to presentations tonight. I'm just going to let everybody know 4B and 4C, the Star Police and Star Fire monthly reports are going to happen the 1st of May. Chief Essing is out tonight with that, so we didn't want to throw Sergeant Steele to the wolves right away on that. So you're welcome on that. So we got first up we got tonight is a proclamation. It's called Denim Day. And I'll read this proclamation here for you. Whereas the United States government has declared April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and the Women and Children's Alliance has declared April 24, 2024 as Denim Day. And whereas both events are intended to draw attention to the fact that sexual assault remains a serious issue in our society, and whereas harmful attitudes about sexual assault allow these crimes to persist and allow survivors to be re-victimized, and whereas the Sexual Assault Awareness Month and Denim Day were also instituted to call attention to misconceptions and misinformation about rape and sexual assault, and the problem that many in society remain disturbingly uninformed with respect to issues of assault. And whereas every 68 seconds, someone in America is sexually assaulted, and approximately 1 in 4 women are raped during their lifetime. And whereas with proper education on the matter, there is compelling evidence that we can be successful in reducing incidents of this alarming and psychologically damaging crime. And whereas the City of Star is an important partner in the efforts of the Women and Children's Alliance to educate about the true impact of rape and sexual assault. Now therefore I, Trevor A. Chadwick, Mayor of the City of Star, do hereby proclaim April 24, 2024 as Denim Day in the City of Star, adopted on this 16th day of April 2024. Do we have anybody here from the WCA by chance? Okay. So we will get this proclamation to them and I'll sign that. And it's very important that we all understand that that is a serious problem in society that we need to make sure that we squash. You know, it's not right. So thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 5, the consent agenda.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman Salmonson.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda consisting of item 5A, approval of minutes for April 22nd, 2024, the claims, and item 5C, findings of fact, conclusion of law for Milepost Commons subdivision.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Any discussion, David? I just want to make sure that I get you.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Hershey.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 6A, the ordinance for Star Point number 2 and development agreement. So we need to introduce this and dispense of the rules.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
Thank
I
you.
had to go, it's like going through my kids. I had to go through all the names in my mind. Sorry about that.
I move to introduce ordinance number 402-2024. And that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days, with one reading to be in full, be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 402-2024 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson. Nielsen.
Aye.
Yeah, that motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the ordinance.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
I move that we approve ordinance number 402-2024, Star Point 2 annexation and zoning, and ordinance annexing to the city of Star certain real property located in the unincorporated area of Ada County, Idaho, more specifically located at 6777 North Star Road, Ada County parcels S0419449020. The property is owned by GHW Holdings LLC, establishing the zoning classification of the annexed property as residential with a development agreement R4DA of approximately 2.01 acres, directing that certified copies of this ordinance be filed as provided by law, providing for related matters, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilwoman Salmonson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. I'll move on to item 6B. This is a beer, wine, and liquor by the drink license. If you can pull up, yep, thank you, the city clerk memo. This is, I think, Chris, do we need to, we just talk about what Jacob has there on the letter? Okay. All right, if we just read the letter here on there, and I'm just going to read it out loud from Jacob. Jacob couldn't be here. He's had some medical procedures that he can't sit for a long period of time there with him. So as part of your packet is the Anderson Reserve Prime American Steakhouse application, new beer and wine license and liquor by the drink license. As you are aware, a new application requires the city council to approve the application, and renewals are performed administratively. The location is the Amazon development next to the Wright Brothers building and has an address of 70 North Short Road. The address may change as their new building is constructed and completed. This application is in order, and we are awaiting the Mid-Star Fire inspection, which is required annually, as well as a pro-rata payment of the current year in the amount of $265.65. I recommend this application be approved by the council with the stipulation a license be issued after the fire inspection has been completed and payment received. Regards, Jacob Quall, City Clerk. You guys have any questions on that?
Mayor Chadwick.
Yep.
I had one question. I noticed on this, the Idaho State Police, so on their license, it says it has an expiration of April 30th, 2024.
Right, so we need to approve it, so it's only expires until, they have to have this approved so they can get it going. Right, and then they go through the process again to update that this next fiscal year.
So then it goes back
Yeah.
to the state. They have to apply again.
Right,
Okay.
well, they don't apply, they renew it.
Or renew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
same with the county.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And then but remember so because that process starts in April for us, they have to have the renew, all that done and to us by the end of June to have it renewed with the city of Star.
Mhm.
So it's like a several month process with all the entities.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Mayor Chadwick.
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the beer, wine, liquor by the drink license for Prime American Steakhouse.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
I'll second that motion. I'm assuming it includes the stipulations as provided by the city clerk.
Yes.
Okay,
I will amend my motions to include that.
you got that, Ms. Barbara? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And you did second that, Councilman Nielsen?
Seconded.
Okay, we got a motion, a second by Councilman Nielsen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to we're going to move on to the public hearings. So just so everybody's aware, on the process of the public hearing is I'm going to open the public hearing, and then I'll ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding a project. The applicant will have and then we'll have the staff present the application, and then we'll have the applicant has up to 20 minutes to present their project. Council can ask the applicant and staff questions. There'll be public testimony, about 3 minutes per person. You need to sign up on the sheets in the back if you're not the applicant and you want to speak to the project. Those for the project will speak, those against, and then those neither against. Applicant will have a 10-minute rebuttal. Council can ask the applicant and staff more questions. I will then close the public hearing. The council will deliberate and either make a motion to approve the conditions, deny, or table application to a date certain in the future. All right. We good? With that said, we're going to open the public hearing for the Star Fire Protection District. It's 7:10. The CUP for station number 55. I'm going to ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
None.
No.
None.
Okay, hearing none. Sean, the floor is yours to start out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Whatever.
and council, thank you. You have before you this evening, conditional use permit, CU-24-02 for the Star Fire Protection District, station number 55. It is a conditional use permit to allow for a new fire station. Application is being processed as a public infrastructure land use within the R3 residential district. Project is located at 9415 West Floating Feather Road. Application requirements, including submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal noticing, site posting have all been completed in compliance with the Unified Development Code. The application has been reviewed for compliance with the City Comprehensive Plan and zoning ordinance. You do not have any late exhibits before you. Staff is making a recommendation for approval of this application with conditions. Again, the location is on the south side of Floating Feather, west of Pollard Lane. It's the lot that was provided to the fire district by the American Star subdivision. And before you, the site plan and a rendering of the station. The staff is standing for questions.
Any questions of staff before we have Chief? Okay, hearing none. Chief Tominski? I don't think he's going to take 20 minutes, but
I could if you want me to.
you could.
Greg Tominski, 7097 Southern Vista Court, Star, Idaho. Fire Chief, Star Fire Protection District. Today I'm in front of you for the conditional use permit for Station 55, located, as staff said, 9514 West Floating Feather Road. The location is directly across the street from the LDS Church, and yes, it was a piece of land that was donated with when the subdivision was approved originally, and we went through the process. It's approximately 2-acre lot. We have the site plan there that where we're going to build the fire station and accesses and so on and so forth. Just as point of clarification, we have added a bunch of dirt to that lot. And most of it is because it's a gravel base and the city was able to dump some topsoil there that we will push over to the side, be the east side where most of the landscaping is going to go. And we'll save that for topsoil. The rest of it will be moved towards the front of the lot. If you're familiar with ever driving by it, the lot sits a lot lower than the street. And we want to try to make that ramp as shallow as we can as we go up, in case we get ice storms, that we could actually make it out of there. So we don't want it to go flat and then go straight up and onto the road. So we're going to taper that from Floating Feather Road at a very light slope all the way back to the fire station. Then it'll be flat right in front of the doors where it comes out. I know that was a concern that some citizens had asked about, and so I just thought we'd address it here on record. Next slide, please. This is the building. It's about 8,600 square feet total, including the bays. It was our desire to keep that station as low as the lots that are around us, understanding that most of them are rental houses, but still try to keep privacy to the people that live around us who want to be a good neighbor. It is a one-story building. There is a two-story mezzanine inside with no windows or anything. It's inside the bay, and that'll be for mechanical area. There'll be just a ladder to get up to it, to change filters and so on and so forth, but we won't be looking down on any properties. The other desire that we had when we designed this building was try to keep it looking similar to the residences that we have in Star. And so we tried to keep it looking as much like a house with two big garages as we possibly could, similar to what we see in subdivisions in this town. So that is what we are proposing for the conditional use permit.
Okay. Any questions?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So just looking at the plans, I'm curious where the front door is. It looked like that the where that cover was, those are windows right there. I'm assuming it's right in there somewhere. I just couldn't see it.
So, whoa,
Yeah, right there.
right? There's a door just to the left of that window right there. There's a door that walks in. Can you go back one slide? Oof, that's pretty small. Is there another pointer that I can use?
Another what?
Pointer?
I don't know. Do they work on there? Yeah, here you go.
So as you come in
Yeah.
the front right here, and then you go into this room, sorry, it's so bright. That's a community room. So that room will be similar. It's a lot smaller than the one we have at the main station, but it's still a room the community can use that has its own access for its own handicap accessible bathroom right here. And then it's a key lock to get into the living area of the station. So that door to get into the building is right left of that window that you saw.
Okay. And then I'm guessing that there'll be a light, like emergency light on Floating Feather. Is that correct? Or
So we're building all the infrastructure, putting all the conduits and everything in for it, but we're not going to put it in yet.
okay.
We're going, and when traffic gets to a point on that road that we have to put one in, we will put one in, but all the infrastructure will be in, so it won't take as long as the one we're doing in front of Station 51.
Okay. That is all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
I'm just wondering if Victor has reviewed this and approved.
Yes, he has.
He's shaking his head.
I didn't see that in the packet, so I wanted to make sure he wasn't left out.
Great question.
Councilman Wheelock?
Yeah, I'm just curious, to fit into some of the subdivisions, you'll need a third bay for the RVs, because two's not enough in some subdivisions. How deep is your bays? Are they gonna be headed out both directions, or is
Yeah,
it?
it's a drive-through, so we'll come in on this road here, drive through around, and then come in, and then be able to go straight out. So it's a U shape.
You'll only expect to go out one way? I mean, you're not
Correct.
backing any other rigs?
Correct. It's drive-through bays. Our goal to start with, there'll be an engine and a brush truck out there. We'll be able to respond to all of the development that is obviously close to it, and then we'll be able to get onto Highway 16 faster. We'll be able to get up to Beacon Light faster, and obviously right there at Floating Feather. That's where we have today. We have a rough time trying to keep our 5-minute response time. As you know, through the years, before my time, probably before all of our time, there wasn't a lot of connections to the north. So right now we have a tough time getting up to that portion of the district reasonable amount of time. So this will keep our response times in that area to 5 minutes, and it'll keep, or less, obviously. And then we can get down to other portions of town if the other station's busy as well.
Will this have a community room like this main Starfire
Yeah.
that the community can use?
Yeah, that's what this room over here is. I mean, obviously this picture is pretty small. That room's about 27 by 27. So yeah, they can use that room like they do the other room. at
That's great.
main Station.
And then is there a workout room and all that up here also? Not
Yes.
just at the main station?
Yep,
Thank you.
Are you
you
going?
bet.
I need to.
So just so everybody's aware, Star Fire District is not just the city of Star. It goes up into Villanova, which is that new project up in Eagle on the east side of Highway 16. So this is going to service them. And then the east side of Highway 16 to Palmer or over to, it's kind of a weird shape over there, but it goes over in that direction too. So
Yeah, we have a really weird line on the east side. There is one portion of Eagle Fire that touches Highway 16. That's currently where the new houses are built, where Floating Feather comes in at. The rest of it is Star Fire District, and the farther north it goes, the farther north you go, the farther east the district goes.
Yep.
And when you get to Villanova, or some people know it as Spring Valley, we go all the way to, if Meridian Road went up, it goes all the way up there.
big district.
So in that development that's in the city limits of Eagle, the Villanova, there's approximately 2,200 of those 6,000 lots are in Starfire District.
Yep.
And then the other piece of our district that is in the Eagle city limits, that is the one that they're doing at the northeast section of Highway 16 and Beacon Light, where they started developing, putting roads in and all that stuff. That goes all the way over to Hartley. I think it's Hartley.
Any further questions?
Yeah, will that, I guess this is not specific to this building, but will that ever change the district so that those houses up that direction would be serviced by Eagle Fire as opposed to Middleton Star?
The way that the state law is written today, a fire district can't take property from fire district. So a city fire department can take fire from a fire district, but a district can't take property from a district. And Eagle is a district and we're a district. So the only way to do that is the property owner has to ask to be de-annexed, and then our board would have to accept that, and then the Eagle board would have to accept taking it in. Now, we've had to do that on a few lots in some of these subdivisions, and talking with Victor this morning, we're going to have to do it in Villanova as well, because has been in the past, there is some lots that are split. So there's some lots that the back half of the lot is in Eagle Fire District, the front half of the lot is in Star Fire District, and State Tax Commission won't allow that anymore. So in that development that's northeast of 16 and Beacon Light, we had to de-annex some lots and annex some other property. So we had to do trading to keep that on a roadway. And Victor was at a meeting this morning where Villanova is going to have the same issue. So we'll have to do that again. It's a lengthy process to have to go through that, but I mean, that's the only way that the State Tax Commission will allow a lot.
But the totality of it, the state laws don't allow them to be financially whole in doing that currently. So there's no way to do it unless some state laws change to where you can take the whole piece out of the 2,000 and put it in the Eagle Fire District.
Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
We also have where Erie Lane comes into Highway 16. close to that cell tower, we have a lot that was given to us by Valnova. And then Eagle Fire is going to build on will be Eagle Road. So that's, what's the name of that? When it goes up, runs out of Eagle Road and becomes Willow Creek.
Yeah.
And so they're going to put their station there. After, I believe, 500 houses are built, they have to complete Linder Road. So there's a fire station. Eagle has a fire station on Linder Road. We'll have a fire station eventually someday up at 16 and Erie. Eagle will have one eventually on Willow Creek. And so those 3 stations will respond into that. Both fire districts chose not to put a fire station right in the middle. So you had one sitting empty for 20, 30 years like they did at Hidden Springs.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Any questions, David? Hershey?
No, in fact, I wasn't even worried about a front door. They're firefighters. They know how to breach a window.
Right. All right, any further questions of Chief before I move on?
I had one more. Thank you. So I did notice like the parking stall lengths, they were less than what our code required. And so I think we had a condition in there that would be modified to fit our code of 20 feet. And so going back to the drive aisle, also make sure that Victor's happy. Are you just going to widen the parking lot a little bit? Or
Yeah, absolutely. We can. We have plenty of room on the east side.
yeah, okay.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Solomon, if I might, this is Ryan Morgan, city
Oh.
engineer in the back.
I'm like, I was thinking that was Hershey for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute.
If I might address that, their parking stalls actually do meet code because our code allows for 2-foot overhang into the landscaping. So with 18-foot stalls, they've got enough room with the overhang into the landscaping that it does meet the code.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further comment, questions? All right, Sean, do you have sign up sheet? Nobody signed up? You want to close it out then?
Yeah, I
We'll be done.
really don't have any more unless you have any other further questions. I appreciate you letting me speak and hope for your approval on this conditional use permit so we can move forward.
Any further questions of Chief?
No, we just love you to make those 20 foot so that we can have wider turning area.
Let's make them wider.
Thanks.
Okay. Hearing now, it's 7:27. We're going to close the public hearing and then go to council deliberations.
Brandon Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
Thanks. Fully support our fire station expanding out into this area and providing that service for our community. And I can't imagine there's a whole lot to discuss here on the council tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve this application for Star Fire Protection District Station number 55 CU-24-02.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll
Second,
second that.
We have a motion, a second by Councilwoman Solomon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item 7B, the public hearing for the Mary and Joseph Watson Annexation and Development Agreement. I'm going to ask that it is 7:28, and I'm going to ask the council if there's any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
None.
None.
Okay, hearing none. Sean, the floor is yours to start, and then we'll get to you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. You have before you an annexation and development agreement for Mary and Joseph Watson. The request by the applicant is to annex and zone their 7.17 acres. They are asking for an R1 zone with a development agreement. Property is located at 10206 West. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not right. Get you the
That's the
address here.
cities.
That's the cities. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, there's not an address yet. Apologize for that. Application requirements, including submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal noticing, and site posting have all been completed per the UDC requirements. The application has been reviewed for compliance with the city comprehensive plan and the zoning ordinance. You do not have any late exhibits before you this evening. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. Staff does recommend the zone be approved for an RR, rural residential zoning designation, because they are greater than 5 acres, and they're going to be getting a single building permit for a single family dwelling. So staff doesn't see the need for the R1 zone in this area. Applicant is required to pay ITD proportionate share for the future home, and the fire district has recommended upgrades to Stump Lane or portions of Stump Lane. Staff stand by for questions. Here's the aerial showing property, which is again located off of Canada Road and Stump Lane to the west of Canada Road, west or north of Highway 44. This is a copy of their record of survey showing their 7.17 acre property. That's it.
Any questions of staff?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
So regarding your recommendation for rural residential versus R1, I mean, if the applicant requested R1, are you aware of their intent to subdivide in the future? Or is this, trying to get that taken care of now rather than coming back later? Or what played into that?
The applicant has stated that their intent is to get a single family dwelling. Typically, we require a concept plan to be attached to the development agreement if they're going to redevelop their property into a subdivision in the future. So lacking that, staff would support the RR.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. I'm assuming you're Mr. Watson?
I am.
Just state your name and address, please, sir, for the record, and then the floor is yours.
My name is Joseph Watson. Represent my wife as well, Mary Watson. Current address is 9497 West Clancy in Star, Idaho. And as I mentioned, this location has yet to be addressed, which they're working through.
Okay, go ahead.
So a lot of the details were covered as here before, but our goal is to be annexed into the city. As you can see on the map here, the property to the west is already, and then the property to the east as well. The community that is north and south of our property that's been a community that's been around for 30 plus years. And our goal is to make as little impact to that community as possible. And this was the easiest access to that process. As mentioned, our goal is to have a family home with equestrian property, just like the neighbors to the north and south. But that's our intended goal. As mentioned, it's an RR, so residential, rural residential. I think that covers kind of the keys that were noted.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant?
Mayor Chadwick.
I'm glad you asked because
Yes.
I'd be surprised.
So I guess this is also for staff. I didn't see the agency report back. So could you review what the their feedback was? You said was it ITD requested some sort of improvement for Stump?
No, fire district, I think, on Stump Lane, right?
Correct. I don't believe we have a fire district letter in that application. That came out at the pre-application meeting with staff. So they'll have to meet the requirements of the Star Fire District is what the condition would be.
Okay. And so if we approve this, like there's nothing that we need to, any conditions or anything we don't have to include at this point?
There, other than, no.
No.
Just the staff recommended zoning if you
Yep.
choose to do that. And then the proportionate share will be part of the development agreement along with the fire district approval.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you for that.
no
No,
more
that was
questions?
all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Hershey, you have any questions?
On this one, no, I do not.
Okay, anybody got questions else? All right, do we have anybody signed up for this one, Sean?
Mr. Mayor, no one has signed up to speak.
All right, did you want to close it out?
No, thank you.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, it made it easy for us. So thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, thank you. All right, any further questions of staff before I close the public hearing? Okay, hearing none, it is 7:34, and I'm going to close the public hearing and move to council deliberations.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
This looks like a really straightforward application. Appreciate the work that you've done to, to bring this forward to us, working with our staff and things like that. So I'm supportive of the application. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve the Mary and Joseph Watson Annexation and Development Agreement AZ-24-03 and DA-24-03 with stipulations that the ITD proportionate share is provided for and that all other conditions of approval as mentioned in the staff report are included as well.
And did you want to include the rural residential?
Oh, yes, I did. And that change from the application that this is zoned rural residential instead of R1.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilwoman Solomon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Hi.
Welcome to Star. And hey, so just real quick, are you related to our very first mayor in Star ever? No? Okay. That's a great
Also
name.
Joe Watson.
Also Joe Watson. So just so you're aware, bit of history for you for trivia night in the family, that you are the very first mayor of Star.
Who has passed?
Who has that option, right? Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 7C, the public hearing for the Milled Olive conditional use permit reconsideration. I'm going to open the hearing at 7:36 and ask the council if we have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
No.
No.
None.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to turn the floor over to Sean.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you. You have before you this evening Milled Olive conditional use permit reconsideration, which is part of file CU-23-06. The applicant requests reconsideration of the council decision on December 5th, 2023, approving conditional use permit for the Milled Olive with specific conditions of approval. Original conditions of approval that are subject to the discussion tonight include the hours of operation, which is currently conditioned to be Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the Milled Olive retail, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. for the wine bar, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the farmers market food trucks, and seasonal concessions 7 days a week until 11 p.m. The other condition discussed this evening, there shall be no music allowed outside of the building until immediate neighboring properties are developed into commercial.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have a question?
Well, I just want to make sure everybody's clear that this is only specific to timing, right?
The two conditions that I read are the conditions that are
That's
in
it.
consideration.
It's on the,
No other,
the
no other
project.
conditions in the,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Good point. The proposed revisions to the conditions by the applicant include the hours of operation shall be revised, proposed to be revised as follows. The Milled Olive retail hours, Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. for the purpose of hosting after-hour cooking classes and event center uses. Farmers market and food trucks days of and hours to be Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. to accommodate food trucks that may want to have a permanent location to operate their business. The second request is the removal of the no music allowed outside the buildings until immediate neighboring properties are developed into commercial. This the applicant has stated that this restriction unfairly limits the property to compete with other businesses in the city that are allowed outside music that have similar residential neighboring properties. Intention would be to adhere to the current zoning and city laws covering noise ordinances. Shall be no music allowed outside of the building until immediate neighboring properties are developed into commercial. So the intention, let me read that again. The intention would be to adhere to the current zoning and city laws covering noise ordinances
I think you want a period there.
And
The
then
rest should be scrapped.
there shall be no music allowed outside of the buildings until immediate neighboring property owners are developed into commercial. They still have to adhere to all noise ordinances at all times in the future. We can work on that if you so choose to revise that condition. That's all staff has. Real quickly, all legal noticing neighborhood letters have been completed per UDC requirements. The requesting party has provided the following information to staff as part of the request for reconsideration, including a written request 14 days prior to, or 14 days after the council action and final decision, which was the findings of fact. The request stated the basis for the reconsideration request with a brief statement of issues and decisions that the requesting party is asking to be reconsidered. And the requesting party has provided relevant information that they believe was not previously presented and is in response to something brought up at the previous hearing, and the information was not previously available. You do have two letters from neighbors in front of you this evening that were late exhibits. Again, this property is located at the intersection of South Star Road and Main Street near the Boise River. This is the approved site plan that was part of the original approval. Staff will stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff at this time?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen?
if you could go back a couple of slides, Sean, I just looking for some clarity on that statement about, keep going back. One more. All right, so the last sentence here, the intention would be to adhere to the current zoning and city laws covering noise ordinances. Should there be a period right there?
Yeah, I just took that from the applicant's letter, but yes.
So is the intent, the city law noise ordinance says that no music is allowed outside of buildings?
No, you added the condition of approval.
I get that, but
The city code does not say that unless it's
the
after.
sentence does not make sense to me. I'm having.
Fine. That's fine. I took that right from the applicant's.
Just ask the applicant.
Maybe we can have the
Okay.
applicant
On the
explain
intent.
that.
So I think the intent, if I understand it, is you want to adhere to the current zoning and city laws covering noise ordinances. Full stop. Okay, thank you. Could you go to the next slide, please? The third bullet on the requirements for request for reconsideration. Sean, can you share with us what information was not previously available and is being presented here?
I believe the applicant is stating that they were not allowed the opportunity to respond to that condition that was placed on the application.
Because that condition was contemplated after the closing of the hearing?
During deliberations.
It was during deliberation, I believe.
And have you reviewed the transcripts
I have not.
to confirm?
I have not.
That's not my recollection. I recall that this was discussed extensively by people who were testifying there, and that there was an opportunity for rebuttal.
I believe that the applicant's representative made the rebuttal, not the applicant. So you can ask the,
Well, representative or applicant, either way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
could that question be answered? Would it be in the minutes by chance? Like, is that something that we could just quickly look up and get an answer
No.
to? No?
No.
Okay, because I feel like we had a back and forth discussion on it as well with the applicant about the hours. And it was a mutual, like I thought everybody was on the same page. And so this is kind of surprising to me.
So I'm going to ask a question. So at the time of reconsideration, Sean, was this information provided about the hours that they made the decision to reconsider this?
yes.
Okay, so we had an opportunity at the time of reconsideration to deny the reconsideration from the be here. So I think we hear out the applicant, then you can make your decision based on what you hear from the applicant and from staff at that point. There's no opportunity to stop the reconsideration hearing right now until after the hearing is done.
Just to be clear, I'm not attempting to stop.
No, I get that. No, I'm not, that's
Looking for clarity.
wrong choice of words. I'll say that. But if it's just, the hearing continues, we'll let the applicant present it, then you can discuss that with them and then make your decision, I guess, based off of
Yeah.
your recollection and what you hear now.
And Mayor Chadwick, I want to be clear that in the decision to hear the reconsideration, it wasn't, the specific information was not presented.
Well, that's why I asked staff and staff said yes. That's why I'm bringing that up. I'm just letting you know.
Right. So
We gave them the opportunity to reconsider. We just need to hear everything out and then you make a decision based off of your
Got it.
recollection and what you're hearing tonight.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Dan, state your name and address, please, for the record.
Daniel McGettrick, 12247 West Pavo Street in Star.
All right, go ahead, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys.
And remember, it's
Wow, that's
only to the scope of this is only the timing and the two things that staff brought up.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So there's several pieces to this, I guess, the way I look at it. So Milled Olive operating hours, what we're looking at is the store hours will probably remain the 10 to 6 that we currently have now, but in the future, with the addition of the cooking classroom and the event center upstairs, which will be tied through the Milled Olive, we see an opportunity that people might want to use that space either before or after hours. And so we were looking at that to extend that so that we could accommodate those requests if they come. We don't have any immediate, people that are asking for that, but it's just in our mind. It looks like that could be a potential as we start to talk to other people and look at different events that might be held there in the event center. And then with the farmers market, what we have found and started to talk to different food trucks is there is a desire to have permanent food trucks here in Star. And when we talk to them about that, they want to have regular business hours where they could leave their trucks permanently, at a location and provide service to the city with what they have to offer. So their hours, I'm not looking to limit or extend their hours. I kind of want to leave that up to them, how they want to work their business. But I think we need to have a spot where they can be. And I think our location is perfect for that because it's close to the Star River House, which has a lot of events where food isn't provided. So it would be easy for people to get that food, take it across the street and enjoy those events at the Star River House, as well as all the people that go to the river right there and swim. So it provides them an access point to get food and enjoy their day. So that's why we're looking at having a more permanent set of hours every day of the week. And then, let's see, and then as well as the farmers markets, we're not sure what that's really going to look like, but we just want the ability to be able to provide that service, whatever that might look like. And then as far as the outside music goes, looking at that and after talking to other business owners that have a similar type business, there's nobody that has that restriction on their business. So we would be the only one, including the city itself. So what I did is I Google mapped all these different locations, and it's probably not 100% accurate, but what I figured out is the distance from where our building is going to be to the nearest residence is, excuse me, is about 230 feet. So looking at that, Beer Guys has got this smallest footprint of 75 feet to the next residential residence. The Tap House and Proof are at 233 feet, and they're probably the newest businesses that have been opened in Star. And then Dew DeWalt Winery, which just recently annexed into Star, has about 351 feet. And Star River House is at about 395 feet to the nearest residential house. So we feel like we're not that far off from all those numbers as far as being close to a residential house. But again, our intention is not to have concerts. We're looking at more just having, a couple guys with guitars and, an amplifier so they can sing and, amplify their voices. So I don't think the noise is going to be that extensive. We're not going to, I know the Beer Guys has some crazy music going on, but that's not what we want. So that's all I have to say.
Any questions for Mr. Dan after that? Oh,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Wheelock.
Yeah, could you go back or forward which way you were just at right there? And as I look at this, I'm generally going to support what we made the first time. I love everything else you've done. But that residence that you're surrounding and the one to the north, I feel like they're going to need some time to transition, in my opinion, to that kind of a different environment. I genuinely think the hours that we worked on and approved are probably where I'm feeling like I would support. I've had the city come back and change some stuff on me after I had been told it, and this was a decade ago, that they changed a month after I had got all my approvals done. And so I feel like that would be unavailable, for my opinion, for the residents that were here trying to get this to stay residential in the first place. I love the development, but I think the inside music would be more comfortable for me until after more was developed around you, honestly. And I say that with hesitancy because I love what you've got going on. I think it's going to be a great building.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Dan? Councilman Hershey? Remember you're online.
I don't have questions for Dan. I just have comments in general, and I'll wait till that time.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm supportive of doing this, very much so.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
Yeah. So question regarding the event center and the classes. Is this going to be in the same space that you're having the classes? And like when there's not classes, it'll be open for events, or are they two different spaces?
So we have proposed two different spaces. So we have a cooking classroom that'll be on the main floor of the building, which will butt up against the retail space of the Milled Olive. So I think that room is, I don't remember the square footage, but it's probably 30 by 30-ish. So that would be a cooking classroom. And what we plan to do in there is to host cooking classes, but then you could also host like they have like the wine and paint, sip and paint, I think they call it, things like that could be kind of crafty in that room. It would open itself to that. The event space that I was talking about is upstairs. So that's going to be a separate from the Milled Olive building. So it'll have its own entrance to go upstairs. So that doesn't have to be tied to the Milled Olive at all. So we'll be able to close the store, lock those doors, and people will still have access to get upstairs to the event space. So if somebody was having a bridal shower or something along those lines. I also look at, I used to be involved with BNI, if you're not familiar with them. They're always looking for good spaces that can host, 15 to 20 people. So they usually have those meetings early in the morning because they're usually business owners that attend those type of meetings. So it would lend itself to something like that. So that's kind of what I see that space as.
All right, and so in your, what you're asking for tonight, is that, I don't see that in the original condition for the hours, specifically for the event center hours. Do you have that here tonight? Or is that
so-
included in the retail or?
So the event center is going to be managed and run by the Milled Olive, so it's kind of one and the same as far as the business. It's not going to be a separate business. So it'll be a addition to the Milled Olive, which we don't do now because we don't have that space to rent out. But in our business plan, that is the area will be managed through the Milled Olive, so it'll be part of the Milled Olive business.
Yeah, because it seems to me like we have a few different uses going on here, and maybe we need to, like separate them out and say, okay, the retail will be open from 10 to 6. The event center space, that would be open for whatever hours that we would agree to. The wine bar, the farmer's market, and I think the food trucks might be another separate use, separate from the farmer's market, because it sounds like the food truck would be like full-time permanent use, and so that so I guess would you be, maybe we just need to work on those hours a little bit more and to the specific use.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, the wine bar hours that we agreed on originally we're good with, so that's not a concern at this point. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to break it out that way and say, the food truck hours can be X and the Milled Olive retail store hours can be X, and then the event center hours can be different from that.
Yeah, because I think like originally, I think we were kind of putting it all underneath the retail umbrella.
Right.
And so now, if you, and I guess a question for staff would be, do we have anything for our use, like for food trucks? Does that include, if it's a permanent use, does that need to have a conditional use permit?
I think
You approved it through a conditional use permit already.
Well, it seemed like, so we approved the event center, right? Through
You approved the farmer's market and the food trucks as part of the original conditional use permit.
Yeah. Okay. And the way it was presented, though, it seemed like it was more like a part-time, not a permanent food truck spot.
Well, it was presented as the farmer market. Is that where the food trucks are going? So
Yeah, what we're looking at, if you go back, so what we're thinking is, so there's 4 pads there. Would that be the north end of the lot right there? Yeah, just to the right of that, right there. And then we're thinking that where the drive comes in, right there, that's probably, and that'll be like a grass area on the other side of the sidewalk. And that's where we were thinking that you would have farmers markets, just people putting up pop-up tents temporarily along that area right there.
So it may not be just during the farmer market time. And that's kind of how I thought of it when it was original. So I would personally like to probably see that split up as well into 2 different timings. Because I think that they, will be different. So we're all clear.
well,
It's
and
clear.
yeah, so when we talked about the original timing with Ms. Hagee was there, she talked about farmers market on weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 9 to 6. That event. So I don't know about the food truck part of that. But the food trucks, even if they were to be allowed there, Sean, they still have to go through their own approvals to the city.
I mean, we have our temporary use
Yeah, temporary.
that
Mayor Chadwick.
we further, but
Councilman Nelson?
So going back to this hearing on the food trucks, we had some discussion around facilities for those. There was no contemplation that these would be permanent food trucks with 7-day a week operations. Some of that discussion around, is there restroom facilities and, table facilities, things like that to support it. I think it was determined that there is not, and people would be kind of on their own to, take care of their business wherever else they can. But it feels to me like creating a permanent establishment for food trucks is a lot like just creating a restaurant, right? And so now I'm contemplating, well, why wouldn't there be facilities, and why wouldn't you provide that just like a regular restaurant would?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I mean, I guess that would be up to what the city would require as far as that goes. I mean, we haven't had that conversation, so, I mean, if that's what's required, then we would look at having to add that. My biggest concern with that is having it open just to the general public, because then everybody from the river is going to come walking across the street wanting to use the restrooms, and that's not their purpose, right? So we'd have to figure out a way to, I guess, manage that. That was a requirement.
I guess that's part of the challenge of providing for a public space and an attraction that brings the public in, right?
Right.
Is now now you've got somewhat of an obligation to provide a place for them to wash their hands, and if food spills, to clean up and things like that. I mean, it's yeah. And I don't know that we've got code that requires it. Certainly we could probably place conditions, but what I'm contemplating is this is a much different scenario than what was originally requested, and it isn't just about the timing of operations. It creates other situations as well. Yeah, I don't know if I've got other questions on this. I've got lots of thoughts and comments, but
So for clarity, Sean, give us the reconsideration pieces again. What we're reconsidering.
the applicant is requesting the reconsideration for the hours of operation for the following uses.
Okay.
And then the request to remove the no music requirement to outside the building. Those are the two requested.
No more commercials developed around them.
So let me ask the question then on the outside part. Well, can you do the hours of operation? What portions of the hours of operation? Oh, they're right there. Sorry. I was waiting to listen to you there. So the retail, to be revised to where the retail is Monday through Sunday from 8 to 10.
It goes from 10 to 6 now to 8 to 10
Okay.
is the change.
And then the
Is that what you're
lounge.
saying?
Yeah. And then what else? Was that it? Just that
No.
one? Oh, the farmer's market
Market from 9 to
from 9 to
11,
11.
7 days a week,
Because the lounge,
and permanent locations, which is the part Councilman Nielsen has an issue with, because he makes a good point that if your permanent restrooms is probably a thing.
So what about, so on the outside music thing, what if it was just acoustic music with no amps? Where they're playing the guitar and singing?
Right. Well, a lot of the performers now have amps. They carry, those little 2x2 amps with a microphone, and a lot of their guitars and even some of the music that they play. I think they have, where they might be playing a guitar, but their music has like pianos and other music that they play alongside with what they're doing. So, I mean, that's pretty much, I rarely see anybody just playing an acoustic guitar anymore. Usually they always have a microphone and a guitar.
Some backing track.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a musician, so I don't know how all that works, but just looking at, competing with all the other restaurant and bars that are allowed music. I mean, I'm right across the street from Proof and Tap House, and I mean, I can hear their music across 44 at my store. And the houses that are closer than that to my store. So, I don't know. I haven't heard of anybody complaining about music at the house, but
So have you talked to the two adjoining neighbors about this?
yeah, so I wasn't able to get any letters or have them show up, but the neighbors to the direct north, Donnie and Nicole, they're actually looking forward to it because they even asked me to put a gate against their property so they could just walk over and come over to the wine bar. The Kronks that are to the, would that be to the east? I think they're not super excited about any of it. I think they would prefer it just to stay dirt, honestly, but I think they understand that, everything around there has been put in the central business district, so they know it's coming. But like anybody else, they would rather it just stay dirt and, So I don't think that they're excited about it, but I don't think they're necessarily totally opposed to it.
If I'm looking at it, and can you go back to the hours, Sean? The hours that they've currently got from 10 to 6 in the building itself, I would approve without hesitation from 8 to 10 or 11, whatever, inside the building. The food truck permanent, I have a challenge with, both for time and the restrooms. But the outside music, I would still stick with not changing that until there was something around there. Because I get it that there's other people that have outside music, but they're in more of a business area. Even the houses that have moved in knew they were next to a business area. Those local residents that are still in the adjusting stage for your groundbreaking change to their area, I would respect that best I could.
Okay. Any further questions of Mr. Dan? You have another shot. I gotta see if there's anybody that signed up.
See if anyone decided.
All right. Anybody sign up? Okay. So this is your chance to close it, and then they can ask final questions of you.
Mayor Chadwick.
Well, you want him to close it first, or
Well,
do you want to just ask?
can I ask first so we don't close it?
No, I'm not closing it. I'm
Oh.
saying that for Dan to do his closing statements and then have you ask. Sorry.
Yep.
Now, the only thing, I mean, Kevin, I gonna have to agree to disagree with you. I mean, you guys approved, well, I don't know if you guys actually, but the city approved that area to be commercial. And so the residents that were there when that was happening, that was their opportunity to stop it or voice their opinions. So I feel like since that area was made commercial by the city and we purchased it as a commercial lot, that now going back and trying to protect all the homeowners against commercial development in an area that you guys made commercial, to me seems kind of counterintuitive to the growth that you were trying to create by making it commercial, if that makes sense. And then as just far as, the music goes, I mean, all we're asking is to be the same as everybody else and have the same opportunities, including the city. You guys back up to the pond right there, and I can guarantee you, because I live on a pond, that noise travels right across that pond. So even those houses that are that far away, they're still hearing all that music coming from the river house. I guarantee it. So that's my only thing is that, we're not asking to do anything crazy. We're just asking to be able to compete on the same level playing field as the rest of the business owners that can provide music. So that's all I have left to say.
Okay. Councilwoman,
No, I have to go, huh? Okay, so looking at kind of the different uses and the timing that you're looking for, to me, if I have it straight, it seems like for the retail and classes, you're wanting 8 to 10, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the event center was
Is the same.
is the same, so 8 to 10, and the wine bar was
Wine
no
hours.
change,
No change on their hours.
which was 10 to 11.
Correct. I
Yeah.
believe that's correct.
And then, let's see, and then, yeah, the food trucks, I have a hard time with that one. And then no change for the farmer's market, and then, the noise.
No, farmer's market changed Monday to Sunday instead of Friday,
Oh, yeah,
Friday,
yeah.
Saturday, Sunday.
So, yeah, the farmer's market, would you be open to changing that to like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 6?
let's already have that, I think.
Well, no, he's asking, well, but the change is asking for it to go Monday through Sunday, 9 to 11
Right.
for
And
the
so-
farmer's market and food truck. And I think we need to split those in two, my opinion, and create farmer's market from, let's see, 9 to 6 for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then have special hours for the food trucks. And it sounds like the request is 9 to 11 that you're asking for.
Yeah, so with the food trucks,
Monday
I'm just
through-
looking at people during the summer when it stays light or longer, there's people always down there at the river, swimming and whatnot. So that's why I was thinking having longer hours for the food trucks, just to accommodate those people to get food.
Maybe do it till dusk or whatever.
Yeah, that, I mean,
I mean, because if it's light till 10:30 or whatever in the summer, so what, right? That's fine. But it shouldn't be 11 o'clock on a December 30th.
and I don't think any.
Or maybe
from
that's the
food
night it would
trucks
be.
That I've spoken with, none of them work that late in the, a lot of them don't even work in the winter just because it's a challenge with a food truck. But if, you know, because I was even trying to figure out if there was a way to put like covers for heaters for people to sit under, accommodate them during the winter. If that was something that would work, I don't even know, but, so that might help them, you know, have a little longer hours, but I doubt anybody's going to come at 10, 11 o'clock at night to get a taco in the middle of winter. I mean,
My wife
there's
would.
some crazy ones out there.
Bet if
Right.
So your suggestion then, Councilman Wheelock, is to go to dusk?
is sunset, whatever time of year that is, would make sense to me for the food trucks.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
That way it's not a lighted thing all winter long
right.
and at dusk, go home.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking
Nine
as well.
How about more of
So,
a hours during the winter and dusk on the longer days? Because dusk comes pretty darn quick in December. Then again,
It's 14 degrees. All right, so
so I think what we're saying then is retail and classes of an event center, 8 to 10.
correct,
Wine bar, no
No.
change.
correct.
And then a new one on here for farmer's market, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 6.
Well, we have that currently in the current
But it's
approval.
what they have written down, it's combined with the food trucks.
No, okay, but you already have the farmer's market's not new. I mean, you're just creating what you're going to do with the food trucks.
Yeah, she's just splitting them apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just splitting them apart and then a new food, and then, yeah, moving food truck to its own line and saying, 9 to dusk.
Monday through Sunday.
Yeah, that's what they're asking for. So Sean, with the temporary permit, so they would have to come and get a temporary food permit. Is that correct for all food trucks? And then they'd have to renew it every couple of weeks, or I can't remember what that.
6 months?
Is that a Victor
It's a
question?
year, it's a yearly.
Oh, it's a yearly. Victor has to, the fires marshal has to approve the layout and all that kind of stuff anyway.
Mayor and council, since this is private property, they can allow the food trucks to operate. But the city does have the fire code, which means that the property owners do have to abide by that, which means on an annual basis, they will be required to be inspected by a fire department. We do honor other fire department stickers and inspections through the
On the food
city.
trucks. and
On the
stuff.
food trucks, yes. And then we do site inspections and so forth. So if I see a food truck that I'm not familiar with, I'll stop by and make sure they have what they need.
That answer your question, I'm sorry.
Yep, it does. Thank you.
All right. You up? It's good to see her. That's right.
So Councilwoman, what are your thoughts on I mean, Monday through Sunday basically creates a permanent status.
Right.
We've got,
Well, to me, yeah, and I guess that's why we're here. That is that's a new thing that we didn't discuss before, and
well, we did discuss it before. I mean, it was brought up about the people coming over from the river. It was presented as this is in support of the farmers market and those type of events. And if people from the river happen to come over and take advantage of it, great, but we weren't providing facilities for them.
yes,
Right.
yep, that is correct.
So and the other thing that was the original retail hours, these weren't imposed by the city. These were recommended by the applicant or your representative. I think we asked, what are your hours? And they said, 10 to 6. So like, oh, okay. So we wrote down 10 to 6. Like it wasn't forced, right? It was suggested to us. So I've got a challenge that I'm trying to work through internally just about following our process. Like, I don't think we should even be having this conversation because that's not, I don't think that it meets the standard, but here we are and I'm willing to have it. And honestly, I'm really, I want to enable business in Star. I want to see you guys succeed. You've succeeded thus far. You've made a big impact in our community. I've got your things in my pantry at home, and so love having you guys here. And look, I don't want to be adversarial at all, but I do want to be transparent that I'm struggling in this process a little bit because of the nature of this.
My question with that, with business hours, I mean, because I was thinking about it today and it kind of just hit me that like when we opened our store, we didn't have to apply for business hours. We just opened and we set our own hours.
Yeah.
They asked us or required us to provide, hey, what hours you're going to be open. So I'm curious why through this process right now we're being kind of restricted on that when I don't know any business that had to like get approval for the business hours. So I guess that's kind of my question in
As I
this piece of it. I mean, like, because
can I address that?
sure.
Is my recollection of the original hearing is that this came about because of the event center change. That's different than a regular business, right? And it includes lots of after hours. It's use that's different than retail. And event centers often have noisy things that go on, and so you've brought up some other businesses. You just want to be treated the way they are. Well, the reason that we have a hearing for every one of these is because everyone potentially has different parameters and different conditions. And so we need to take those into consideration. And it's not that we want to reserve the opportunity to single out different businesses, because let me tell you, if I were to single out you guys versus, a certain bar in town, I can tell you where I'd land every time. But legally, we're not allowed to do that. And I can represent personally, I'm not trying to. So we just want what's best for our community and what's best for the neighbors, because there is an impact to those neighbors. And even though we've contemplated, look, you made a great point about, you guys made this commercial. put it in the comprehensive plan, and people could have, complained about that before. Absolutely, they could have. And yet commercial has a lot of different uses, a lot of different possibilities. And so one of them being an event center right there, it certainly never crossed my mind. Food trucks did because of the location to other, areas. So I might just be rambling, but maybe that gives them time to think. But those are some thoughts that I'm having and just trying to work through this. And I'm not done with the discussion yet, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think, regarding your comment about like the services. So if you're having food trucks there all the time, and then it seems like you're no different than a restaurant, and so you should have to provide a bathroom and all of those things if it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 11 or
So can I just ask a question based off what you said there? So does the proximity of the bathroom mean something, or because they do have bathrooms on site at the building, which is right down?
Well, but what about, and then, you get into the security
Well, but
issue.
if
I
that's
mean,
part
this
of
is
the
your
customers.
private.
I'm just curious.
Mike, I guess a question on that, because right now there's permanent food trucks in Star that don't have bathrooms. So how many food trucks does it take to require a bathroom? Because right now, the taco truck that's sitting in the Merck parking lot doesn't have a bathroom.
But they have
Access to it.
well, can they go into the Merc and utilize their restroom? I mean, that's the thing.
Anybody can walk in the Merck and use the bathroom.
Right, and
We
so
don't know.
that's my question is,
Right.
So
if the restroom, huh?
That's one of their conditions of their temporary is that they have permission from the Merc to use their restroom facilities.
Right.
there we go. So now we know.
So I might be more open to the idea if it was during the same hours that the facility, that your store would be open, so that people could come in and use a restroom, wash their hands, and then also that for security reasons,
Right.
yeah.
So the main building does have public restrooms, and it's going to be a shared facility between the Milled Olive and the wine bar. So those bathrooms would be available up until the 10 p.m. that the wine bar would be open. So I guess that would,
Sorry, at 11 p.m.
or 11, sorry.
Yeah.
So the wine bar is open till 11. So then those restrooms would be available to the public
Okay.
until that time.
I think that makes a difference for me, honestly, that like if there was a similar agreement between your food trucks and that permit, that they've got the ability for their customers to go in and use that.
Right. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
And of course, as a retail establishment, you can say, customers only.
Right. Well, and that'd be easier to control from the river standpoint because it's a little farther of a walk, so it might be less willing to.
The river's way closer.
Yeah, right.
I'm not condoning, I'm just saying.
No, I understand.
Mr. Mayor, Council, the way that the code reads and what we build into our temporary use permits is that the workers of the food trucks have access to to a restroom facility, as signed off by in the case of the Merc signed off on that. Doesn't require pedestrian or patron facilities. It requires the workers. So the workers that are there for 5, 6, 7 hours have a place to go to the restroom, not the patrons. So that's how our code currently looks at food trucks.
But if we are
You can make
looking
them-
at adjusting this, we can make that as a condition that the patrons be able to use.
Yes, you can
that
do
as
whatever you want
choose,
in
right.
addition to those conditions. I was just clarifying that.
Okay. Did you have more questions there or comments, Miss Jennifer? Councilman Nielsen?
I think we're getting pretty close here.
Yeah. Councilman Wheelock? And did you have anything you want to address, Sean, or anything?
Just when you make your motion, make it clear what the specific hours are, because I've got a lot of notes here. I think I do want to quickly address just the validity of this meeting as Councilmember Nielsen has questioned it a couple times. So I want to put up on the screen the memo, the staff memo from February 20th, 2024. This was the request by the applicants to ask for reconsideration. And within that staff memo was this information. So you did have access to this information. Staff stated that staff recommends that the council review the documents provided as attached in deliberating their decision on this reconsideration request. So I believe that you guys did make your decision to have this meeting tonight based on the information that was in that memo. And so I think,
Can you scroll back up a little bit on that?
yeah, so I believe we do have a valid,
Right there, Councilman, or do you want up higher?
So I think they're requesting this in here, but what is not included in this is the specific information that they said was not previously presented. It just says in here that the requesting party has provided relevant information they believe was not previously presented.
correct.
Those are the requirements, but you've got their request, but it's not the specific information.
Well,
that they say was missing.
You had their letter as part of your packet that stated that. And again, staff didn't make that decision. Staff asked council to.
I understand.
look at that
Look,
information.
this may be a procedural thing for us, but I don't think that and I'm not going to question the validity of this meeting as far as the legality of us holding it, because we did grant the request for reconsideration. There's no question in my mind about that. But I want us to have a higher standard than what's here going forward. And we could talk about that at a different time.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good conversation.
And I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong. Like, you guys are awesome, right? There's no worries in my mind about that.
All right.
But we learn. I mean, this is how we learn, and this is why code changes.
This is like our third one, I think, in
Right.
over 8 years of ever really.
So I think before we round this out, we should talk a little bit about the request for outdoor music. I've heard sentiment here that's not on the table, but I wonder if there is an hour of operation for outdoor music where that would be acceptable, like weekends until a certain time, or is it just a blanket? And I'm looking at you guys to feel out where you're at on it.
Yep. Sean, can you remind me again what the noise ordinance currently says?
So 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
7 a.m., 10 p.m., Monday, every day.
24 hours a
every
day.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And for the public testimony, did we have
Oh.
those?
Yes. So let's correct that.
Sorry,
10
10
p.m.
10
to
p.m.
7 a.m. No noise.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
make sure that
You
we're
can
talking
be
about.
noisy from 7 a.m.
Yeah.
to 10 p.m. How's that?
Yep. I knew what you meant. So regarding the public testimony, did those two neighbors testify? No, they did not. Okay. Yeah, therefore I think that, this is in the CBD. We zone that, for, yeah, I'm open for it. I'm okay with the following our current noise ordinance rather than putting on the stricter condition. Yeah.
I'm gonna be the one that agrees to disagree. I'm sorry. But that's was agreed to, and I would stick to that. Even if I'm outvoted, I get it.
And to your point, Councilman Wheelock, I mean, it is temporary until the nature of the area starts to change.
Yeah. One neighbor goes, I'm good. That'd be my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I
but
guess, I mean,
only because they've done that to me once and I didn't like it.
I am kind of torn. I mean, we did decide that originally,
Yeah.
put that in there. So, maybe we put it in there, keep it as is until, I don't know.
Or can you work a
Yeah,
time
I'm
frame
gonna
that's
extend it
acceptable?
here. I've been listening to you guys this whole time. There's a noise ordinance. Okay? There's no special consideration for this company or this vendor over anybody else. plain and simple. And Councilman Wheelock, just because it happened to you does not mean it has to happen to somebody else. I do not buy that as a valid argument.
I'm okay with that. I still feel that way.
You guys are going over things like noise ordinance, and you talked about food trucks, which was in the original proposal, was it not? Yes. It was no mention of permanent. They mention it now, but that's the food truck business. I mean, if they have to do it, they'll have to go through the city. They'll have to go through all the process. All they're asking in this is to have the same time considerations as other people. And that's all I see it as. That's all it is.
Okay. Thank you. Any further comments or questions of the applicant or staff? You guys have your times and everything figured out? If you're going to make a motion, do you have it written down?
I have one more question. When you read the list of times, I have a bad angle, looking at back and not front. Did they nod yes or did they nod no?
Oh. He's
can't
looking at
tell.
the back of their head. He can't see the front.
Oh,
I couldn't see if they were like, oh, that's
No,
cool or that's not.
He
cool.
couldn't see the mannerisms of the discussion.
Yeah, that's how
basically
I
what he's saying.
watch if they're cooler. I could not tell. So if the times they agreed to, and you guys would know, then
So
I
can
have no
you-
argument on those.
Will you, if you guys got it written down, just go over the times again.
here's what I have written down, Mayor. I've got no change requested for the wine bar hours, which is 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Sunday. Or sorry, Monday through Saturday.
Okay.
I've got retail requesting a change Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
We talked about splitting their requests about the farmers market and food trucks, such as farmers market is Friday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and food trucks are 9 to dusk. And dusk is being defined as sunset, Monday through Sunday.
Okay.
We've got a condition contemplated that patrons are invited or are allowed to use the bathroom inside the wine bar. And then, as we've discussed, the noise ordinance. I guess I don't have anything written down on that.
So those things that we talked about, are you in agreement with that? So David could understand that?
Okay, so just.
Just without the noise thing, without the outdoor music so far.
So the retail hours, we have 8 to 10, correct?
Yep.
And then, so the food trucks till dusk, I guess my concern with that would be during the winter hours, because it gets dark at like 5-ish, so.
Well, that's what we talked about quite a bit, and you were in agreement with that at the time.
Right. Well, I guess in thinking about it, because dinner is probably an important part of the food truck business. So if people are coming home from work at 6 p.m., they might want to grab some food to take home during the winter hours. So I don't know.
So what if we tie that to your retail hours or dusk, whichever is later? So it'd be 10 p.m. in the wintertime and as late as 11 p.m. in the summertime.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, we could probably, if you wanted to just say 10 p.m., I can't see those guys wanting to work much later than that anyway. I don't know.
It's not downtown Boise.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We don't have it's not going to be a lot of people walking around getting.
So
10 p.m. is the retail.
So food trucks 9 to 10 p.m.
I think that's.
8. Oh, yeah, 9 to 10. Yeah.
And then that just makes it easy. Clean.
So no dusk, then just 10 p.m. Is that what we're
Correct.
saying?
Yep.
Can we make it even cleaner and just say 8 to 10, the same as the retail,
Sure.
everything else? 8 to 10. All of the uses are 8 to 10, except for the farmer's market, which is what we've said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
9 to 6.
Yep. And the wine bar is no change. That's a separate item.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, did you hear that, Councilman Hershey?
I believe I did.
Okay, So then the last question then is on the outdoor music.
Look,
Well, we have a noise ordinance. I mean. plain and
I can
simple.
see,
Yeah,
got it, Councilman Hershey, thank you. We definitely do, and I can see both sides of this. Mayor, you contemplated acoustic music, or I'd be in favor of that, or limited amplification.
can you limit amplification?
Limit amplification.
Well, the way you do that is in quantity
We
or
wanna get down to
or
sizing
volume.
that.
I'm just thinking out of the box.
Yeah, he's thinking out of the box.
If we go to acoustical, that with no amplification, I'm willing to split the difference of that. I don't love it, if I'm being honest. But that's as close as I'm getting. From my point of view. It is what it is. I still think when there's another business down there, then it's a different egg.
You gotta be careful. I guess I'm gonna play the devil's
You
advocate.
probably
too.
have the votes to go over the top of me anyway, doesn't matter.
But I just want to say,
Well, I don't,
being restrictive also may limit your ability to get any future commercial down there because everybody's going to feel that you're going to be restrictive on them.
As soon as there's another commercial,
That's what I'm saying.
it's a different game. That's what I'm saying.
But that getting another commercial maybe shied away from not doing anything if we're treating things different than other businesses is all I'm saying, right? And I understand what you're saying too. So just so you're aware.
No means an attorney, but I don't know what the legality on that is because I feel like you're restricting this business from competing with any other business that can do this.
Well, but there's no legality because we're in a public hearing and it's a conditional use and you agree to that to begin with. And we're making a decision. There is, I mean, anybody can challenge anything legally, but in the reality,
But I mean, I guess my thing is, I mean, if you're trying to come up with some workaround with amps, because I don't know that much about them, but I mean, I can't see more than maybe like a 3-person group performing. I mean, we were just at Solis the other night and there was 3 guys, one guy had a guitar, one guy had a keyboard, the other guy was singing. I mean, that's what I envision for this. I mean, I by no means going to bring in, you know, Motley Crue, or I guess if we could get them, that'd be cool. But I mean, it's not going to be like a concert. It's just background music. Because in my opinion, when you go to a lot of restaurants and they have the music too loud, you really can't enjoy the people that you're with because the music's so loud you can't have a conversation. So to me, it's more of the ambiance of having just somebody performing that you can listen and enjoy the company you're with. So by no means, I mean, we're not looking at rocking it out.
so before we do it, I want to ask Sergeant Steele a question on enforcement. Just because you
Yes,
deal
Miss-
with this with our neighbors.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members, I don't know unless there's something else. I don't know how else we would enforce a conditional use permit and the timelines outside of what the city code currently says for our statute. So I'm not sure how we would be able to enforce a conditional use permit timing on just one business compared to, unless maybe that's something that you write into the code, in a new code, that any conditional use permits that have such, statures of noise or time or something like that, then apply to the general. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? I don't know how we would enforce
by
this.
default, just go under code enforcement.
I think by default, it would just go under code enforcement. So that would be something that, the city would have to enforce on its own end.
But at the same time, it's a CUP. If it becomes a problem, it could come back before the council to revoke it all as well. So you do have that authority to do that on a CUP.
So and I'm thinking back to the original hearing again, and this isn't, it wasn't so much a question of like background ambiance for people sitting at a restaurant. Again, the idea of an event center really comes front to the front for me, because that takes it out of your control. Like people having an event, they're doing their own thing. They're bringing their own band. They're bringing their own DJ. They're doing whatever.
The event centers inside, upstairs.
Which is
facility.
why we had music inside to make
So-
sure that it stayed that way.
So the music we're talking about is for the wine bar. So.
And my understanding is that's out facing Main or Star Road, right? So it's even away from the houses and stuff like that, kind of on that corner that's just by the river and the road. And so maybe there's a distinction we need to make on that, because I'm with you on the ambiance and the background music for people just enjoying themselves out on that patio. I doubt it would be any noisier than trucks going down the road,
It's
pulling
actually,
coal.
I'm going to be honest, it's actually going to be quieter because you're going
Right.
to have a building blocking all that other noise.
So
Yes,
I
if you-
guess from my perspective, that's okay. But for the event center, it's inside only.
That's totally fine because the event center is only inside. So if you want to present it that way, the event center can only have inside music.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's no way for it to be outside. The event centers.
Windows make a big difference at a local establishment
And,
Yeah,
and
just
that,
down the road.
and that has a separate entrance, right? The event center. Yeah. So it's not connected to the wine bar.
Correct. So
yeah.
it'll have an entrance into a hallway. So you can go up the stairs. There'll be a door that goes into the hallway where the bathrooms are. There will be another set of bathrooms upstairs as well, and then that hallway connects the wine bar and the retail store, so they all have access to that restroom that's right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So based on that information there, Councilman Nielsen, what's your thoughts?
So my thought is that we place no restriction on music in the wine bar, but for the rest of the premises, it's indoors only.
Okay.
I would agree with
Are you okay with that?
So the wine bar, like the little outside patio where the fire pits and stuff are, we can have somebody.
Playing a tune.
Like-
But you can't have your event center roll outside to have any music or anything. Right. Well, but I mean, if they kind of come out and try to, you just have to control that, I guess, and keep it inside.
And so if it does turn out to be like our, another local bar situation, then we can just
If it's- if
revoke
you
the
get-
use permit.
Yep.
We can revoke it, right?
He has to come to a hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would recommend that you put a 10 PM limit on that.
Yeah.
Could give us a
Same as
little,
the
just to
retail,
give us
the rest of the-
a little more
Same
than
noise
just the,
ordinance.
It's
Yeah.
a noise.
well, just in addition to the noise ordinance, because again, the sergeant said that he can only go after the noise ordinance. The conditional use permit could be revoked based on, so I would put the 10 PM limit on the wine bar
Okay.
music.
All right. Are you clear, Councilman Hershey now?
I think I saw bobbing heads going the right direction. Yeah, no, in all reality, I was always thinking the music was strictly wine bar, not event center. And
And-
I was always thinking it was some guy, playing some horrible Bob Dylan songs, not the event center doing an insane clown
Dylan.
posse mosh pit or something. But I didn't think about the event center and music. I always thought it was just upstairs, and I kept thinking that was like cooking classes and stuff like that.
And Councilman Hershey, your disadvantage is you weren't at the original hearing, so that makes sense.
I don't know if I was at a funeral or a wedding or a work assignment, but it
Yeah,
was.
you were somewhere.
All right. So any more
Was it my
questions of
hip?
the applicant or staff?
Might have been my hip.
Councilman Wheelock, are you good with it where we're at? Okay.
Quite
All right.
honestly, we've been a lot
See
of
what you do.
places.
If we are done with the applicant?
Yep.
Councilman Wheelock? Councilman Hershey?
Yes.
Yep, and then Councilman Nielsen?
Yes,
So
sir.
make sure we're, okay. So it's 8:44, so you guys can, Oh, no, I forgot. Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah, we
We're
did.
we're back onto
We're
the,
good.
yeah, we weren't, yes. 'Cause you didn't have anybody signed up. So it's 8:44 and we're going to close the public hearing and go to council deliberations.
Councilman Wheelock, or
Another May?
I didn't say Mayor Wheelock, but I was going in that direction, wasn't I? Mayor Chadwick.
Yes, sir. Councilman Nielsen.
You know, I think we've done a lot of our deliberation already. But I appreciate you letting us have that Q&A with the applicant. This is, like you said, you know, we haven't done too many of these. And so I appreciate the conversation amongst all of us and you, Councilman Hershey, being online for this too. So I'm going to go ahead and make a
Trust me, I really
motion.
wanted to be there. This training came up because I took other assignments that I
Yeah,
had to.
no worries, man. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion based on our conversation. And that motion is that we adjust the times of this establishment and the uses as follows. The retail operation and food trucks are open Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The patrons of the retail establishment as well as the food trucks are allowed to use the bathrooms in the establishment. The farmers market is allowed to be open Friday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And that live music be allowed in the wine bar location and patio only until 10 p.m.
Did you want to clarify no music from?
Maybe
Yes.
the
Thank you.
music is wine bar only.
Yeah, and just, yeah, restate the
Well,
center.
That was my intent in saying the wine bar only.
Oh, I understood.
The rest of the facilities, music would be allowed indoors only.
Okay. You get everything? Councilman?
That's everything I have written down.
And that was a motion?
That was my motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I think you got it all. I'll second it.
So we got a motion, a second by Councilman Salmonson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey,
Oh, aye.
Wheelock,
You, no, I'm off you.
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. I just want to say, even though that was long, I think that was important. To talk it out and vet it out. Right? So I appreciate everybody's discussions on that. So now that is complete. Sorry, yeah. Chris, we over allotted our time, so we're gonna have you come back. No. I'm kidding. We're gonna move on to.
We'd play a tune, but it's too loud.
Right.
It's too late.
So we'll move on to item 7D. We're going to move on to the public hearing for the Stonecrest LLC Dennis Downs conditional use permit. It is 8:48, and I'm going to open the public hearing and ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
No.
Jennifer?
Did we, in the architectural review, did we see this design, or was that for something totally different? No, okay. It was just we just like said something that we're going to talk about it, but we did not look at it. Yeah. I just want to make sure. Okay. Thank you.
So you're good?
So I am good? None.
All right. All right. With that said, we'll move on to the staff to present the project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you this evening, the Stonecrest LLC Dennis Downs conditional use permit, CU-24-01. It's a conditional use permit for a 10-unit live-work condominium building. Property is located at 12550 West Goldcrest Road, located within the commercial area of the approved Stonecrest subdivision PUD. Current zoning on the property is CBD. Whoa, 72 residential units, lots. That shouldn't be there, Chris.
72 residential lots on.
72 residential lots.
So for the record, we're removing the 72
There are-
residential lots.
There are again 10
It's like, what?
10 residential units in this application. Sorry about that. Application requirements, submittals requirements, agency transmittals, legal notices, site posting have all been met per the UDC requirements.
Victor must have approved that.
The application reviewed for compliance with the city comprehensive plan and zoning code. You do not have any late exhibits and staff is recommending approval with conditions. I have before you the site plan. Location of the building is what I have circled here, which is on the north side of Goldcrest Street, which is south of State Street and west of Ripple Rock Avenue. This landscape plan provided by the applicant and elevations provided by the applicant. And I believe he's got a presentation he's going to put up before you. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions of staff at this time? Okay, hearing none. Chris, please state your name and address for the record, and the floor is yours.
Chris Todd, business address 12561 West Goldcrest Street, Star, Idaho 83669. Here on behalf of Stonecrest LLC, Dennis Downs, client, to talk to you about a conditional use permit. So Stonecrest subdivision, when we came in, was a PUD application with a mix of uses within the central business district. We have built out the majority, 98% of the residential. There's still 2 lots that are left on the residential component. One of them will end up getting brought into phase 2 someday down the road. And then the live work units that we did put in.
Did you, Sean, we lost the thing.
That's the deal.
Sorry about that. Did you push
I
the
didn't
button?
touch it. Nope, I'm not touching anything. What we had on this front piece, obviously, you've seen this piece before when I came in with the Dutch Brothers location. And the lot that we're looking at today is the one that is divided up. Just a point of clarification between what is on that staff report and where we're at today. So the total number of units within this building is going to be 18 units total. How we've looked at it on the site that you see there in front of you is that it's 10 units. Those 10 units are upstairs and downstairs. Going through the design with staff and the fire marshal, and thank you for your patience going through this since probably the holidays, was the best way to design this, plan it, and have everything in a row for building code. Thank you for your patience as well, Ryan and Ryan team. Was that we would condo this building. This would be a standalone condo building. The downstairs commercial, the upstairs would be residential use. A little bit different than the townhomes that we did across the street on Goldcrest, in that the upstairs and the downstairs would be separate condos. How we've gone through this in the past 4 or 5 months is that each of these units, though, has, let's call 80% of them have been reserved by businesses that want to be a part of Stonecrest. And so we went through a couple of changes to get to our final kind of where we're at now. General location, just showing you what's going on in the area. The next one just goes through kind of that general location. The star is where we're looking to build this building in relation to what's going on around us. So you have obviously Crane Fields behind us. We have Stonecrest, Pinewood Lakes to the east, State Street frontage, Dutch Brothers to the north. Standalone condo building would offer commercial and residential live work uses. The success of the previous builds has led us to where we're at today. The Highway 44 State Street frontage for these commercial businesses and the site within Stonecrest Commercial with the future growth area, the location and access gives us a lot of benefits for this type of use and build. The property is already annexed and zoned in the central business district. These future businesses and residential growth would help us create more of a neighborhood commercial area and kind of build off of the momentum that we've experienced on the first phase of our live work units. There'd be a variety of business uses. There's a benefit and flexibility to these units for the future owners. There is proximity to open space, the future Greenbelt extension across or along the Lawrence Kennedy, coming up from Pinewood Lakes through Cranefield and Stonecrest, eventually up towards State Street. And then obviously access to other services. We do want people walking and biking into Stonecrest. We feel that with its location with Cranefield and Pinewood, that it makes a lot of sense. And that's where we see some of our customers for the current businesses that are there. The architectural renderings that you see in front of you tonight are based off of the kind of the three renderings that you see down below. These were renditions that we kind of went through internally with the architect, the engineers, both the structural engineers, but also the civil engineers, and talking through it, obviously, with Ryan Morgan and Tim with the city and the Star Sewer and Water District. We came up with this design, number one, based on, hey, what can we fit here? What would make sense? What's the square footage like in order to accommodate the business and the residential use, and something that people would want to buy. We have to have a market in order to move forward and start spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of architects and engineers and infrastructure. The next page gets you into the actual layout of the building. So the downstairs, which is on the top here, the kind of the change that we went through is you see unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, unit 5, and that goes down until you hit unit 7. What we had come through from a buyer was that they would like to combine both downstairs units into one condo. And we said, well, I think that we might be able to do that. What's the best way forward? We worked with the fire and the city in order to come up with this plan. Also, at the same time, the buyer of unit 10 came in and wanted to do the same setup. And so how this would function is on a condo building is on the downstairs, you would have your first 7, or excuse me, your first 6 would be roughly a 1,200 square foot business condo. The next 2 units over would be roughly approximately 2,400 square feet business condo on the downstairs. Upstairs, which is on the bottom here, is the residential component. These are going to be individual condos that are residential uses for each of the live work. For the purchase and sale agreements that I currently have for these units, the buyers are required to take down the bottom and the top units correlating with their space. In the future, they have the flexibility to sell either the commercial or that residential space above. It gives them the flexibility, but it also creates a little bit less work for me if I make sure that everybody knows that's coming in to buy one of these that they have to take down both. And most 99% of the people that I talk to want both. They want the same thing that we've done across the street. So that's the route that we're moving. So total units, just want to make sure that this is clear. The total units that we would be looking for is an 18-unit condo building. When you would come in, let me go back to this site. Let's go here. So this map on the top shows the general, well, no, not the general because we just got everything approved. Shows the location of the infrastructure, Dutch Brothers, and this proposed building that's in front of you today. How we see this functioning is that the south end of the building that fronts onto Goldcrest Street would have a residential sidewalk entering into the space, and the occupant, either the owner, a tenant, an employee of the business, would have their own entrance into the residential component, which is a little bit different than the ones that we've done before. On the north side, you would have the designated commercial access into a commercial building. And I've also kind of broke out just a couple of screenshots here on the bottom. So you have a north elevation and a south elevation. The design components of why we came up with it this way is the north elevation has more of a commercial frontage that would front onto a parking lot, Dutch Brothers, State Street. The overhang that we have from the patio creates a good facade for the signage for each of the potential businesses or the businesses that are going in on the first floor or the ground level, if you would. On the south elevation, it is a little bit different of an elevation, but the reason for that is it ties in with the north elevation and it ties in with what's currently on Goldcrest. And the color combination we felt matches closely with Dutch Brothers. Part of the condition package that Sean has put together is that we will be coming through a design review, certificate of zoning compliance if the CUP is approved. And so we would be looking at these renderings and the architectural drawings that have been provided again. On the building, on the east and on the west, there will be carport parking, a total of 11 parking stalls for the 10 residential units up top. How we propose this functioning is this standalone condo building will have its own CC&Rs as part of like a sub-association within the Stonecrest Commercial 1. Each of those covered parking stalls would be assigned to a unit depending on where the location is. So the first 5 units, if you're going from west to east, would be parking on the west side of the building. The next 5 units would be parking on the east side of the building. The north would be the commercial parking for the actual businesses. We do have street parking and we have shared parking on Dutch Brothers right in front, approximately total with the green and the red is another 30 parking stalls roughly, as well as we have some of the street parking. In terms of the facade and kind of building materials, like I said, we have to go through design review and certificate of zoning compliance. What we've shown today is doing a metal roof on the top, and I kind of clipped out just a section so you could see what that would look like. Roughly on the downstairs, we would have 10-foot, 6-inch ceiling heights. And then on the upstairs, in the main, call it bedroom, bathroom area, you're looking at a little over 9 feet. But then as you're approaching or getting close to, right in this area, the open living room, fireplace, kitchen, patio area, all of that area would ramp up to 12 feet. We really like that design in terms of an open concept with all the windows off of the patio, which you kind of see here. And this patio is based off of that one that's kind of on the top left, right? Has some wood accent. It's got some metal, black metal. It's got transom windows on the top where that real pitch comes into play. It's got 2 windows on each side of the balcony. Each balcony has 12. It's a 12-foot privacy, call it slat in between each so that they are kind of broken up for each individual unit in order to kind of give a usable space outside. It also creates a weather pitch over each of the frontages that come in so we don't have to do different types of weather breaks, so to speak. Let's see. These are just some of the interior finishes that we've done in the other live work units, just a couple of the standard things. Obviously, kitchen with tile backsplashes. We have gray lock, soft close cabinets, kitchen island, quartz countertops, nicer fixtures, trimmed out windows, resilient floors, tile shower, quartz in the other bathrooms as well. And then kind of just an example of one of the bedrooms. Oops. Can I go back here, Sean, or no? Can I go back to the presentation again? Oh, there you go. Then go back here. Getting back to the overall kind of layout of where we're at with the design. So on the upstairs, it's just showing as a shell. We're currently looking at what those buyers would be looking for in terms of their configurations. At the time of a building permit, we would have more of a detailed floor layout for each of those individual businesses that would be on the downstairs. Overall, we're good with the conditions that Sean has placed on us. I'm sure there's some questions, so let's open it up for questions.
All right, any questions of Mr. Chris at this time?
Yeah,
You just
Mr.
for a
Mayor.
little- okay.
Councilman Hershey?
It's just for clarity. Maybe I misunderstood. When you said someone's buying two, does that mean they're not going to have a wall in between? It's just going to be a bigger one
Correct, on the downstairs.
on the downstairs, but the upstairs will have the walls, the separation. Are they load bearing?
Correct. Correct.
And you mentioned 18 and there's 10. Are you counting existing things in there or something?
Yeah, so on the downstairs, there would be a total of 8 business condos. On the upstairs, there would be a total of 10 residential condos.
But initially they have to buy them in a pair or,
Correct.
okay, I get it now. Thank you.
And then the ones on the end, they would actually be buying 3 per buyer party.
Right.
So they would be buying the downstairs,
Upstairs.
2,400, and then 2 upstairs.
All right.
We would have to come forward with, obviously, the design review and the certificate of zoning compliance application, as well as we would have to put together a condo plat or short plat for these condos at the time of down the road.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Councilman Wheelock?
Yeah, so I have a question about the access
Uh-huh.
for the individual upstairs.
Yeah.
Are they accessing it from the back
Yeah.
or the front or the middle? How's that
Yeah.
work? I didn't see that.
Yeah, good question. So I'll go to the site plan, but if you look at the top of this page here, that is the south elevation, which is on Goldcrest. Each of those would have a separate residential entrance with its own separate sidewalk coming from the existing sidewalk. So when you'd look at it from the back, it would almost look like walking into a townhome, really, because they're all, 0 lot lines. But each individual unit will have its own individual entrance. You would walk in, there will be a built-in, put your shoes down, put your coat up. You could walk upstairs into the residential component. There will be possibly 1 or 2 doors downstairs, depending on the owner and what their preference is, but there is access from the residential into the commercial.
Through a separate door in the back.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Thank you.
on that main landing area coming in off of Goldcrest.
Now on Goldcrest on the south side,
Yep.
that is kind of currently front parking for those businesses.
Uh-huh.
What does that look like when this is here? Will that be
I would
residents' second parking?
say
Taking
that
away
it's
all of the commercial parking for those businesses potentially?
potentially it could take away some of their parking. What I've found or what we're currently working with is the user that's taking up the most parking with the current configuration of our development that we have now, the hair salon, is actually under contract to buy units 9 and 10. One of the reasons why is because they've outgrown their space, which was kind of one of the goals of having a live-work unit. Oops, I keep drawing. Was having these live-work units was for small businesses to come in and hopefully maybe they would grow. And then we could look at building or them buying a standalone type of commercial building. And so they're moving from what they currently have is roughly 1,200 square feet that they would be doubling in size.
Right.
And the majority, because my office is there, and I know that the majority of the traffic that we get, say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afternoon, which is kind of seems like their busiest time of the week, is going to be coming into our parking lot to actually service those parking
Right. I
stalls.
just was concerned that you're losing all those parking spaces that are current business owners that I recognize there's only one or two, but if they're all taken up,
Right.
where do those new customers or the current customers go if those are all residential second cars? Right?
So,
If a couple
yeah.
lives there, one's in the carport, one's in the back of the building, no more parking available for the current residents of Star businesses.
Couple things. So when we started hearing grumblings from current owners saying that we weren't going to have enough parking, worked with the city in order to put in some temporary parking that's on this site currently. Nobody has used it since we put it in around Christmas time. Nobody's parked there. We put in the temporary parking just for that type of use. The second part of it is if you drive behind the current live work units, there is more parking back there that the businesses, the employees and the owners should be using more. If you drive back, we have gone back and forth on what that looks like. I think that it's very beneficial. It's kind of like trying to force somebody to do something. Hey, you guys have parking behind for your employees. Why don't you use it? Well, they don't. Well, you're hurting your customers, right? So it's kind of hard to police in terms of association management, but we try to at least point people in the right direction. Part of the conditions of approval is a cross access and cross parking that has to be submitted to the city, showing basically this parking type of plan. That'll be part of our, not just the cross access, but also part of our commercial CC&Rs. Once we get into, say, that northwest commercial building that you'll see in the future, and the lot that I own, say, to the west, we also control the larger property to the west of this. So there is opportunity in the future for additional parking. And we know that that could be a challenge that we'll have to address with what we would consider Stonecrest Phase 2, which is the 10 acres to the
So
west.
that you don't step on the residents that you're actually building for.
Correct.
I did know where you got the 72 lots, 62 parking spaces
Yeah.
were made for this, and then there was the 10 units. So that 672 was made sense to me, other than we don't want people living in their parking spots. I do think there's enough parking. I just wanted to know how it was being addressed for the current residents.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
All right, any further questions?
Mayor Chadwick?
Councilwoman?
So you said what potentially could be in one of the larger units.
Uh-huh.
And then the other one question that came to mind was for like the yoga studio that's currently in Stonecrest. I was wondering about like the traffic and the parking for a yoga studio. And is there any like complaints about,
That was one of the reasons we put in that temporary
Okay.
parking, was to see, because they were saying, well, when we open, we're going to need more parking, we think. And I said, well, you have street parking, you have the parking behind your unit, and then you have street parking on Koyachek, which is a north-south road right to call it the west of their unit. Like I said, my office is there. I've been there for a while, and I have not seen any issue, and I have not gotten contacted by them saying, we are having issues with your parking arrangement currently. We've tried to get ahead of that with the temporary. And if it's something in the future that we need to put more temporary on Phase 2, then we can look at that as well. We would be open to, if the city deems that we need additional temporary parking in the meantime, we would be open to that, to be a good neighbor to everybody that's there.
And so the use of those commercial units we're not talking a restaurant, it's.
No.
Right.
No.
So, hair, a small
Yeah.
health studio.
Yeah, we've had psychiatry offices. We've had a women's boutique. We've had a couple of smaller retail, been looking at it, professional space, lawyer, accountant, real estate, obviously. I will be purchasing one of these as well. Just kind of keep moving my office as a snake goes around this community. So you can't get rid of me yet. Other uses in CBD district.
Victor was like, dang.
We actually got along very well on this, I'll have to say.
But I
Anything that's allowed in the CBD, you know, we're not doing any vape stores, not looking at like restaurant spaces. We're hoping, you know,
Yeah, because
to be honest, we would love to have a destination restaurant on phase 2, just because we have the Greenbelt, the Lawrence Kennedy, and it's kind of better visuals, I think. But yeah, they wouldn't be allowed to set up in the bottom as a restaurant.
Right. And so do you have anything like in your HOA or something? So say it changes owners.
You know, when it
And-
comes to the construction and the building permit, it's not going to be built for
Okay,
restaurants.
so that's
So
where
Ryan will look
it
at the
would-
plan and be like, hey, there's no grease traps here. Good
Yep.
luck having a restaurant here, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's requirements from them and from fire that's going to prevent
Yeah.
restaurants in there based on the construction.
What about a daycare?
No,
No,
no.
because that's a use that we allow in the CBD, right? But we don't have any restrictions on these units because of the design of them.
Right.
Of
Yeah, they would,
of
I mean,
property itself.
and
Yep.
each unit, correct me if I'm wrong, but each unit that comes in, we have to do a CZC application. We have to do a whole building certificate of zoning compliance application. And then each unit that comes in to put their business in has to come forward and submit another CZC application for that individual unit.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost like you get to see it twice at the end of the day.
You get a shell and then you
The
get
city.
the guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ryan does.
That
One of them.
All right.
that was all I had.
Okay. Councilman Nielsen, any questions?
No, just Sean, your outlook is showing.
And Chris's drawings are showing.
Sorry, I don't know how I'm doing that.
Not sure how that happened. All right. Any further questions of the applicant or staff got a comment?
Chris, I got a question for you. Would there ever be a chance that anyone would want to combine those downstairs units sometime in the future?
The commercial or the
The
residential?
commercial ones that you're opening up into 2 into 1, could you ever physically put those back together?
You could, the owner does have the flexibility to do it, but they would have to come back in and they would have to do another condo plat. And they'd have to come through
Okay.
the city for that. But there could be, you know, I don't know. I mean, people are spending a lot of money to do it this way, but it could be down the road if somebody comes in and goes, well, I want to split or basically take my 1 into 2. It's being built so that wall could be constructed, but then that owner would have to come through with a conditional use permit, or excuse me, a condo plat, and most likely go through Victor to make sure that it's designed that way too.
Mr. Mayor and council, based on that information, I would recommend that if you do approve this, you approve it for a maximum of 20 units, 10 commercial and 10 residential. That way, if there is ever a chance that someone wants to put that back together, they do not have to come back for conditional use permit approval. And that, again, it would be subject to fire and building and all that, but I just don't want the land use portion of it. If you could put that in your motion. Thank you.
Good.
Mr. Mayor.
Ryan,
Ryan, yeah, I just wanted to take a minute
say
and,
your name.
oh, sorry, Ryan Field, City of Star. I just want to take a minute and so to address Sean's question there, we met with the applicant many times and had this conversation with our building official, with our fire marshal, with the applicant's engineer and end user. I mean, we had everybody at the table multiple times. We looked at multiple options on how to do that wall, whether we made it so that there was doors that when the alarm went off, the magnet would release, the doors would shut, or if we leave it open. We worked with the engineer. These are all structured and surpass, I think, fire minimum code. And we actually told Chris that if he has any other projects that he does in town, he has to do them this way, because this is going to save so many issues down the road. We've met so many times on this project that it's going to be smooth sailing from here. So we're very comfortable with with the feedback and with the meetings that we've had thus far, being able to get everything hammered out to meet code and compliance. And so I just wanted to add that comment there.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions before we go? Is there anybody that signed up?
There is not.
Nobody signed up? All right.
We had good neighborhood meetings. We had good outreach to the folks that are there, I feel. The only other comment that I just want to make sure is clear, similar to the live works that we've done, is that reason that we're building them this way and built to the building code and the fire code is if somebody does come in and wants to have a business downstairs and operate that business upstairs, they have the capability and the flexibility to expand some of that space into the upstairs, but they cannot operate two different businesses. Similar to the live works that we currently have, you can use those as downstairs and upstairs commercial as long as it's the same business. That's my 2 bits.
Okay. Do you want any closing statements or anything since nobody's here?
No, I just hope that you guys approve it. Thanks to staff for their patience. Thanks to Victor and Ryan, Team Ryan in the back for their patience. I think we put forward a good product here. We are moving to the point of this hearing and trying to work with our neighbors, Dutch Brothers to the north, to kind of coordinate in terms of construction, infrastructure, all of that. And so you'll be seeing kind of this. It'll be exciting to see the site grow at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so you're more than welcome to come over and come up to my office, get on the patio and watch it all kind of come together.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nelson?
So Chris, that kind of that last thought that you shared about this has potential to be commercial upstairs as well.
Yep.
I'm going to have to go back and look at our ordinance for the CBD zone, but the contemplation of the live work area meets a standard that's not commercial and not residential, right? Like it's specifically contemplated to be live work,
Right.
not work.
Yeah.
So what you're sharing is this has the potential to become a 100% commercial building.
I mean, the likelihood of that happening is probably zero.
I understand, but I'm going to place a condition to make it zero.
This is more of, I would call it, I mean, you guys are going through your code rewrite right now, and I'm always kind of a guinea pig I've found. I would say that this is more of like in line with a mixed use building that has the live work capability. That's why we're selling the upstairs and the downstairs.
I get that. And when I read our mixed use ordinance, it contemplates a certain amount of residential and a certain amount of commercial.
Sure.
The potential to convert that without coming back here to all commercial.
Well,
it's an end run around the
correct you
ordinance.
on that one. So the reason that we're here for a conditional use permit is to actually add the capability to use it as residential because it was already approved for commercial. We're here for the CUP to add the residential. It's kind of backwards, if you would.
So now you're making me a guinea pig.
I don't think so. I mean, it is going to help, I think, in terms of when you are looking at your code, live, work, mixed use, what those codes are that you guys are trying to bring into the city at the end of the day. And I think like this building and the amount of feedback that we've gone back and forth on, I think is a good example of what can be done. And the way that it's being built is set up for more of a mixed use live work. Is it a hybrid? I don't know. That's up to you guys, I think, to decide. I was forced to come in for the conditional use permit because we were taking this commercial parcel and putting a residential component on it on the top floor. So yes, you kind of are the guinea pig, I guess. Long answer.
Mr. Mayor and Council, and in May, you'll have the new ordinance in front of you. And I have added another use, a multiple use that would be more like what he has in front of you. Right now, it's being done as a live work because that's what we have in our code currently. So he's correct. He's adding the residential in a commercial zone.
But asking for a rezone to
Not rezone, just a conditional use permit. He already has the CBD zone, yeah.
Got it.
So in the future, it'll be a lot easier for him to come in and then have that flexibility to do commercial downstairs and commercial upstairs or commercial residential, or even a hybrid of some residential and some commercial upstairs. It'll be a lot easier.
Okay, I'm clear. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions of the applicant? Before
Just
we
a
close, or the staff
clarification,
before we close?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Neil, Hershey?
Sean, you said that we should condition a max 10 commercial, 10 residential. Wouldn't that solve any problems of it becoming any one thing?
I think it was just approving 20 total units.
Yeah, my
20 total condo
20,
units.
20 total.
20
condos.
total,
Yes,
maximum 20 units.
correct.
All right. No, I'm good.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, it's 9:25. And I'm going to close the public hearing and we'll go to council deliberations.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
So, aside from my previous comments, I lost sight of the fact that this is remaining commercial. So I'm not concerned about it being potentially all commercial. And I do like, you guys know, I love the live work component. This is, this particular development, I think has been really successful in doing that and set an example for, for other places in Star where it's starting to happen now. So love the project, Chris. Like the work that's gone into it and really appreciate staff, all the work that you've put into it as well. So I'm supportive and, I'm interested in others' thoughts on this as well.
Okay. Any other comments, motions?
Yeah, I'm supportive as well. In fact, and just to give a little history, I didn't really even know what these were in the very beginning. And I couldn't quite vision how they came out. And Stonecrest is walkable from where I live. It's a long walk. Well, it's pre-surgery walk. So I'm still trying to get back to that distance. And what I've seen them turn into is just, in my mind, really impressive. I like these. I really do.
Okay.
If I could pull up a different screen and make a motion, or just let one of you that got the sheet in front of you.
All right. Any other comments?
I'm comfortable with the motion if you're making it, but I just want to say thank you for the parking that you are acknowledging that you'll deal with if it comes an issue. Other than that, I'm supportive of it. I think after visiting the opening the other day, I thought that was a great example and walkthrough of the current building. So,
Ms. Jennifer?
Mayor Chadwick. So, yeah, I'm also supportive of this, and I find that the proposed conditional use permit meets the requirements, standards, and intent for development as it relates to our Unified Development Code and the comprehensive plan. Therefore, I will go ahead and move that we approve the Dennis Downs conditional use permit with the condition for 20 condos, live work condo building, 20 unit live work condo buildings,
Does that work, Chris? Or Sean, I mean?
and including all of the conditions that you have in your,
Okay.
so.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Solomon. Do we have a second?
I second.
We got a second by Councilman Nielsen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Hershey.
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you, Chris, for a good product. Just real quick for everybody, I just want to let everybody know on May 7th, the only thing that's really on our public hearing is for our city code public hearing that night. So everybody's aware of that. Then on May 14th, we're going to have a budget workshop in this same room. But on May 21st, our normal council meeting, we will not have, because that is election day. So everybody is fully aware of what's coming up on the upcoming month. Thank you, everybody, for your time and discussion tonight, because it's been kind of fun, actually. It's 9:28 and we are adjourned.